Hi, fellow traders. Well, we've made it through another week. Pretty much unscathed. We had a couple bumps along the way, but hey, that's what trading's all about. Now, I was really happy the way last week ended. Um, Moderately happy about the way this week ended. But all in all, I think September, still in August. September has been a really good month so far. We're halfway there, and everything is looking pretty good. But we're going to talk a little bit about today and get caught up on the last couple of days here in a minute. But one quick statement: the grind can't stop, guys. It can't stop. I don't care if you make a big winning trade today, you still got to go grind. I don't care if you ended the week green, you still got to go grind. 2 weeks in a row, you still have to grind. 3 months in a row, you still have to grind, because nobody's handing out prosperous trading careers. You can't buy it. It's not for sale. Your parents can't give it to you. Nobody can will it to you. I can't sell it to you. The only way is to grind and pay it with your blood, sweat, and tears. That's what's going to take to get you the way you want to be. Every billionaire, every successful person, whether they did it on the level or not, they had to grind. All right, they had to get out there and grind and do what they needed to do in order to make it happen for them. That's the exact thing that we have to do. Now, there is a catch. With this industry, there is a catch. You can work from sun up to sundown. You could just grind all day long. You can outwork everybody, that's around you. But there's still no guarantee that you're going to make money. What you have to focus on and what's going to give you the best opportunity is to focus on that mindset. That's where it's at. It's all, right there in your mind. A lot of work goes into this, into the mental game. Learning the strategies and all of that, really simple. But, it's the mindset, the mental game. And I showed you this last week. Okay, now here's zero. Here's zero. And here's where most traders that get education and, get in a good community and they're learning, this is where a lot of us get stuck. I was stuck here at one time too. So I know the deal. And this is what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get that constantly climbing equity curve. You're going to have pullbacks along the way. Okay, you're going to get there and get a bad week or bad 2 weeks. It happens. But over the period of time, you want this to continue progressing upward. And so for these traders, what we have to do is figure out what's happening here. What's happening here when you break the threshold? What's causing you to come right back down and in some cases crash even further? What? And it's all in your mind. It's all the mindset you bring into trading. It's not your strategies. Pretty much every strategy that's being taught out there is profitable. The only thing that's not making it profitable is you. That's what's keeping you from making money. So, and it's all a mental game. Okay, and that's where the grind has to be. The grind has to be your mental game. Not sitting here trying to find ways to not lose. Because the more you sit here and try to figure out how to not lose, you're going to lose. That's just the way it is. So just keep that in mind. Think about that for a minute and see if it kind of makes sense to you. So the SPY today, okay, for last Friday, let's look at last Friday first. We had the big sell-off and came back and closed back on the 20. All right, so now Tuesday comes and we get the gap down. That's the opening for our week, Tuesday, because of the holiday. We get the huge gap down, and then it bounces. It tries to recover the gap, and then it sells back off. And then Wednesday, we have kind of a recovery day, but we can't close above the 20. We can't claim the 20. And then Thursday comes in, we open above the 20, a little gap up from the previous close price. And then we have a dump day. We have a dumpster fire. Then today, we open, a little bit higher than we closed. Tried to push a little bit, but you could feel the weakness in the market. I felt it. That's why I kept saying I'm not going long. I'm not going to go long today. Not going to go long today. And, that was my mindset, because it just felt really, really weak. And it did eventually come down and test the 50, and it bounced immediately. Okay, it didn't even stay down here and play with it for a while. It bounced immediately and pushed back up. So is this a precursor to what happened last week? Are we going to wake up to a gap down below the 50 the market opens Sunday night at 8 o'clock. So, where is it going to be then? Are we going to open with a gap down and just start recovering from there? Or are we going to remain flat, waiting for the market to open and then trying to figure out what's going to happen? So again, we got to let the market tell a story. The market will tell us what it wants to do. Just like today, it told us what it wants to do. So before we get to the day, I've got, this is the trade from Wednesday. Only took one trade. Really got irritated early. And, I just feel like this made a fool out of me. But when you look at it, it was a good setup. It just failed. But even, we had the room everywhere. So this was just one of those trades that the setup was really good, but it failed. Even though we sold off this big, we still had a lot more room to go before we hit support. And it just didn't have it in there. So 599.79. I want to pay attention to this, because when you see the calendar, instead of a 9, I put a 4. Actually, I kind of messed this up. I was looking at the Trader View download by mistake and just got all screwed up. But we'll see that here in a minute. And yesterday was another day. I didn't get to do a recap. I really wanted to do it, but yesterday was just a complete mess. My kitten ripped my Ethernet cord out, and that's the one that runs under the house from the modem in the back of the house to the front of the house, and I ran it under the house up here, and I tried to put an end on it. Didn't work. It was just crazy. But I was so dirty and messed up from under the house, I just took a shower and I crashed. I woke up and I was fumbling around, and I'm like, I never did my reflection today. So I ran. It was like 11:58, and I ran, and I was able to take this snapshot. But what I did was it had covered up the opening range already, because this was like well after, it stops trading at 8. In this case, it stopped. This one stopped trading at 8 o'clock. So it covered this up, but you might be able to see it a little bit. Here's the opening range breakout. This was a 5-minute opening range candle. This was a breakout. Got to my first target, and it slammed all the way back down, stopped me out, break even. Then I went to buy it on the break of the high of this candle. I was wanting to get back in. I was probably feeling a little pissed or betrayed. So I got in, went to take profit here when it hit my first target, but my platform was not ready. When I clicked the order, it tried to put in a stop order and completely messed me up. So it came down and I ended up holding it, and it stopped me out. And that was a pretty big lick. I was really upset about that. So we waited. Finally got the trade here under the opening range low and under the 100. Got in, got the first target, was looking for it to dip down and test red to green. On the second target, it didn't, it bounced. So we ended up with like 2 base hits and then a huge error that allowed the other team to score. So I was wasn't in that good of a shape. So we waited, and I had to wait until this thing cleared and it went red on the day. Once it did, I ended up getting in, got the first target, another base hit, got stopped out again. This thing recovered, and then I got in down here, took some profit, a little bit here. It just did not. I don't even know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say. But we ended up okay. We ended up making that was another $500 day. I can't remember exactly what it was. We'll see it. But that was yesterday. So today, got back on PTON. PTON reported earnings yesterday. And so this morning, it was gapped up, and it pulled back below its previous 52-week high. This was a 52-week high previously, before it made it, it gapped up on earnings. So here pre-market, we sold back through it. We tried to bounce, couldn't push through it. We pulled back to the 100, tried to bounce. We even made a lower high. And then we had the big sell candle. So with the market feeling weak, everything to me was a short. And I kept saying, I'm not going to go long. I'm not going to go long. So I got this on the opening range breakdown, and we just got whipped back on this candle. Now, I made a mistake in execution here by not factoring my stop right. And not factoring in the right volatility caused me to get stopped out. Technically, I should have gone in with 200 shares, given it more room, and I would have been fine. But I didn't. I went in with 300 shares, didn't give it the volatility it needed, and got stopped out. So I'm going in the second time. Do I fix it? No, I make the problem worse by going in with 500 shares. So most people that are just trying to learn and just trying to get going in trading, you're not going to be able to manage your risk on a stock like this with 500 shares. With me, it's no big deal because, I have the account size. But in my mind, I'm trying to just trade with what most of you guys would be trading with, the buying power that most of you guys will be trading with, and then managing my risk accordingly. But I made the same freaking mistake and ended up, taking profit and then it bounced back and took me out. So I waited and got in again, and same thing. Just keep getting these base hits. This was just so choppy, but I was picking up a couple $100 each hit, which, is not bad. So finally, we get in this, and we were waiting on this and waiting on this before I went to lunch, and it just didn't come. And I was just waiting for me to go. And we got in this and had a really healthy pullback. Again, it's just a matter of reading the charts, reading the technicals, and determining, is this trade still in play? So as we're looking at this, we were putting in the same pattern that we did over here. You can see here we got a descending triangle. Here we kind of did the same thing, but it was shorter, and it ended up breaking to the downside, and we got exactly what we wanted. So I did short shift it here because I short shifted up here. I had it at 88 when I should have had it at 87.80, and so I had to take some more off here just to make it right in my head. And then we just held for the next level, the support we saw, and we were using the 60-minute chart. So you guys know that's where it was coming from, and we looked at that in class, and we'll look at it, a little bit more on next Wednesday. But knowing where the windows were, knowing the technicals, I was able to stay in the trade, and that's what you have to use in order to stay in the trade. Because most people will get stopped out, walk away, do whatever, and never get to really make any money. So, that was this afternoon, and then I took the last little piece off over here. So we held through all of this. I only had one little piece left because originally this was my first target. My final target. But since we were washing so nice and the market was selling, I just left that last little piece on to see if we could get to like 82.40, I think was the next levels. But really nice. Ended up 831.32. And again, like a broken record, if the first trade didn't break me, this would have been a $1,300, $1,400 day. Real easy. But I stuck with PTON. I could have run and chased Overstock or BA or whatever, but I'm trying to stay focused. And when I get in a rhythm and I'm dancing well with one stock, I'm going to try to stick with it. As long as it stays in play and it's showing me potential, I'm going to be there. But if it doesn't, I'm going to have to walk away. So that's how we wrapped up our week. And remember, this was $5.99 versus $5.49. This was $5.99.79. But it's like $50. So you take 50 from here. So I'm only up $15.50 for this week, and you take 50 from here, $39.87, and would it be $39.37? So still not a bad week, still not a bad month going. Just keep focusing and keep doing that mental grind, and that's all we can do. And so that it can put us in the right places at the right times. And so you guys have seen over the last month or so that the stocks, most of the time, the stocks that I'm picking are giving us the windows. I'm not picking the ones like I used to where we don't get any follow through. And all of that, and it's 100% because I am looking at the hourly chart now. and it's helping. Just like I showed you guys how we can identify windows. You know, Roku on Tuesday had the big window. It was nothing there. But it's a prime example of anything can happen in the market. There may be nothing you see there, period. But somebody wants to stop the market and move it off that level. And there's a lot of people that had a clout to do it. So, you know, we just have to be ready if that happens. But for the most part, the majority respects support and resistance. And that's all we're using. And before I took it live, I spent months back testing and, you know, making sure, because you don't change anything on a whim. If something's not working, or if you want to try something, you have to try it in a controlled environment so you get the accurate data to tell you, does this work or it doesn't work. You know, so that decision didn't come by lightly, but it has changed the dynamic of my trading. So, you know, really happy about that, and hopefully it can do the same thing for you guys. All right, so that's it. We've gone long enough. Here's the equity curve right here. This is where we're at. You know, mentally, the other thing, I look at this and say, oh, it's time for a pullback. So I start expecting a red week. And oftentimes my expectations come true because that's where my mind took it. So you always got to be careful about that as well. But that's going to do it for me for this week. Swing trades, didn't make any movements, any changes. And that was by choice. As I said in the session last Sunday, I didn't think this week was going to be a good week to swing trade. It would have had to hold the 20 and push. It didn't. It lost it. So there was no swing trades. The price action on the SPY was under the 20 moving average. I was not taking any swings. Now it's testing the 50. We're going to build our watch list next week. We're going to have everything ready and in place so that if we do get the market, we'll be ready to strike. So we'll talk more about that on Sunday. We'll really get deep into the analysis and what we're looking for next week in the market on Sunday, and see if we can put a little swing watch list together. So you guys have a great weekend, and we'll get back at this thing bright and early Monday morning.